Well, in case I didn't properly introduce myself, my name is Coffee Iman, and I'm the owner of Coffee Magazine. So it's a pleasure to meet you. Just for people that may not have heard of you or know you personally, can you introduce yourself a little bit for us?
Sure. I am Christian Sargent, the co-founder and the CEO of Vicky Cakes, Pancake, and Waffle Mix.
And it sounds tasty.
They
So
are.
I read the backstory, but can you share with us what motivated you to actually create it as a brand, considering it was like a long time family recipe?
For sure. So, Vicky is my mother. People often call me Vicky, and I'm like, I'm not her, but I will definitely take it because she's an amazing woman. So I don't mind being called Vicky. But Vicky is my mom. I'm the youngest of four children. So my mother is from Cleveland, Mississippi, born and raised by her grandmother who taught her how to cook, how to keep house, all of those things. So like if you think Mississippi, think the Delta, like the South, where it felt like the cars were taller than the house. Like it was the South. But it was just so much love and culture there, and it was just so like heavy in family values. My mom really was raised in like heavy family value. And so she would move to Gary, Indiana when she was 19 after she graduated high school. And she would go on to meet my dad. They would get married, have four children, and then they would get divorced when I was 2. They got divorced when I was 2 years old. And she became a single mother of 4. And so there wasn't much disposable income. Like there was no such thing as a budget just for eating out. We were either eating at home or eating at the house. It was one of the two, or at school, because she actually was our cafeteria lady when I was in elementary school.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got to eat her cooking at home and at the cafeteria.
Right. Double plus.
Yes, double plus. And so this recipe is something that's been in our family for over 43 years now. My mother started like coming up with the recipe before my oldest sister was born, which she'll be 43 in November of this year. So my mom came up with the recipe before my sister Latoya was born. And then by the time she started having kids, she had perfected it. Like she talks about all the time how she had to, figure out the flour measurements and if it was too much milk or she needed more baking powder or whatever. And so by the time she figured it out, like it's been perfect since I was born, right? So I'm 30. So she got it right before me. But it's been perfect. And it was really one of those things where I've had the recipe since I was 21 when I got married. But I wasn't focused on cooking anything from scratch. I was young and just doing the add water, only thing like the rest of America has been doing for all of these years. And so it wasn't until my husband Courtney tasted the recipe in 2013 when we went back home for Thanksgiving. My mom cooked them. He was shocked, like he could not believe that A, I had made these pancakes, and B, that like this was something that he hadn't experienced. Like he's eaten IHOP and Huddle House, Waffle House, things like that, but he had never had homemade pancakes like that. They didn't grow up eating that in the South. He's from Mississippi too. They're like biscuits and gravy, like salmon and things like that. But he hadn't had pancakes that good. And so he was the one that actually came up with the name for Vicky Cakes in 2013. He said, "These are the best pancakes I've ever had, Miss Vicky. You all should call these Vicky Cakes. We should sell them and we can make a lot of money." And so we didn't listen to him. We just wanted to eat.
Of course.
And so it would be 2019. It wouldn't be until 2019 until I would say I was ready to do it. I got my mom's blessing, and Vicky Cakes was a gift to the world and my mom on Mother's Day in May.
Okay. So she was just as excited as you guys were.
Yeah, like absolutely. She was all game for it. But I'm not gonna say I don't think I know my mother didn't think that it would grow to be what it has become.
Got it.
From that day when I asked her for her blessing to use the recipe and turn it into a business. I think she thought it was just gonna be like something cute and fun. But no, child.
That's another thing, like with this new entrepreneurial wave. You see that older generations are like, oh, it's just a hobby. I call it hobbyizing our hustle, because they will say like, okay, I know you're doing that, but when are you going to work?
Yes.
So transitioning that into this corporation, and you said she had an initial shock. Were you shocked as well? Because again, you've grown up with this recipe. And you just said, well, this is just how pancakes should taste. So was this a shock to you that the world embraced you the same way?
No, I'm not, for two reasons. Okay, so I've always been a very driven and focused person. I don't do much that I don't plan on seeing through. And I never consider plan Bs, right? So even growing up in elementary school, my mom tells stories of how I used to plan my own birthday parties in my classroom, and she would be the last to know. So there were times when my second grade teacher literally had to go down to the office and ask Miss Stamps, that's my mom's name, Miss Stamps, when is lunch coming? Because I had told her that like pizza and cupcakes were coming.
And she was the lunch lady, yes.
Yes. So my mother has always known me to be this kind of assertive energy, like this assertive person where I take initiative and I believe in anything that I put my mind to. And so when after doing my market research in my study and finding out about the top selling pancake mix brand in the world, right? Aunt Jemima, formerly known now Pearl Milling Co., it clicked. That was literally my epiphany moment. Like after doing research, and I hadn't talked to my husband about it up until this point, or my mom, or anyone else. It just dropped for me. I was like, I think it's time for us to sell these pancakes. And I did my research, and I saw the numbers, I saw the projections. I learned the history, of that company, and I was like, there is absolutely no way the rest of the world knows this story of like how this brand came to be and who they used to sell it. And I just started like a fire passion came over me. And I was like, oh no, like this can't continue to be perpetuated. There's something better. There's something more with a real woman, a real story, a real recipe, a real family that has real values at the core of it that can represent this for our culture, for our ethnicity, for our families, for representation's sake. And I know America can get behind this and love it as much as me and my family have. And so that's what I knew was possible. And from that day forward, when I shared it with my husband and asked my mom for her blessing, I was like, we're going to be the #1 selling pancake mix and we're replacing Aunt Jemima. I've never backed down from it from that day.
She said, I don't care what you change the name to. We
nope.
We are dominating the pancake industry.
Yes. Yeah.
So
sure.
Being able to create this and having it skyrocket at such a speed, how was the demand for actually pushing out the product? Did it take a toll on you? Were you guys doing this with just in the family, or were you already warehouse bound by that time?
Oh, no, Lord, no. The pandemic actually pushed us into manufacturing. I was already doing all of the jobs, right? So at the end of 2019, I think we closed out the year with doing a little over $7,000, right? It was cute, like I was always, it was cute. I was a stay-at-home mom anyway. So like I had been a stay-at-home mom since 2015. And so by the time 2019 rolled around, like it was just hobby. I was like hobbying it, enjoying it, getting orders out here and there when I could, making the mix, labeling the bags, doing customer service, posting on social media, growing organically in a, consistent pace. And it wouldn't be until 2020 when things just really erupted. So we had the feature by Tabitha Brown. We had GMA, ABC reached out to us to be on Good Morning America, and we were still in my kitchen. So June of 2020, when we were featured on national TV, we were still in my kitchen working, and I had to find workers, right? So like we went from me being the CEO and every other role in the company, my husband being the designer and the COO, because he does all of our graphics, web design, everything is in-house. It went from him and I to like needing a team of 16 people in order to ramp up production. And it took fast learning experience and really just having we're going to show up and we're going to show out, because you can't miss these kind of opportunities. So when these things were presented to us, we definitely should have said no. We definitely should have told GMA no. But we weren't doing it. So it made us have to like really step up and do what we knew how to do with so much passion and love. And we were able to crank out over 154,000 products in one day. from my house, and then we
From
eventually
your
moved.
house.
Yes, girl, from the crib. From that point to a commercial kitchen where we were renting that hourly, and we outgrew that space like within really 2 weeks of being in there. So we weren't even in the commercial kitchen in a contract for 30 days before we were looking for our own facility, and we opened that, and we've been in there since September of 2020.
Now, was it a challenge to remain, I guess, friendly to each other because of this demand? You guys are family, you are spouses, and you have to have the pressure of cranking out this thing for like your survival of your business. So,
it wasn't difficult because what was it, 2019? We've been married for 13 years, going on April of this year.
Okay.
So we know each other.
Yes.
Thank you. We know each other. I know, and let me say this, because my husband gives me way more grace than I even need to extend to him. So like he chill. I'm the one out here, roller skating on thin ice with hot skates. I'm always
okay. I get it.
Yeah, that's me. So sometimes I am I'm always assertive. And I'm always determined, but I also go into a different mode when there's pressure involved. I kick into, I'm not the Christian, right? Like I'm not mommy, right? Like understand, like I'm not mean, but I'm very direct. I'm very, I know what I want and I know what needs to get done. And that's the only mode that I go into is get it done mode. Like MIH, make it happen. We're not going to be having that many words, that much exchange. This has to be done, and this is what you need to do. I delegate, I move on, no micromanaging. And so the unfortunate part about that is when at the climax of the company and the success, my husband contracted COVID. And so we literally featured on Good Morning America on Tuesday, and by Friday, he got the results that he had COVID-19. And so that meant that we had to shut down production completely. We had over 5,000 orders that we had received on the front end. And we had an additional, I think it was like 5,500 on the back end, back orders that we could fill within 30 days.
Yes.
So we had a lot to do, and COVID was not in the plan. And so it was very hard at that time. And so that's when the compassion element had to kick in for me, and the realistic, like I had to go from CEO mode back to wife, back to mother, and to leader essentially. And I had to say, hey, my husband is sick. My team has to disperse. Like everybody, like don't come back to my house. Like let's start there, right? So everyone has to quarantine for 2 weeks. I had to make the ultimate decision to let go of over 5,500 back orders. We were able to get the front ones out, but we had to release all of that back order inventory, all of those customers, because we couldn't complete, within the turnaround time. And so it was very difficult. And that was one of those things where you have to really realize or think, what do you want, right? Like, do you want success? When you pray for these things and you ask for these things, what does that mean once it shows up? How are you going to handle it? And so that was one of those things that did test like both my faith and my fear, because I was watching success, but at the same time, it felt like failure was lingering. And it all worked out, in the end, where we were able to run the cell again and get those back order customers back. So, yeah, that's how we handle.
Well, you got through it.
Yeah, we did. We got through it, child. I would have skated through a little bit more, but it definitely did humble.
Yeah. Well, we always speak about mompreneurs or women entrepreneurs, especially Black female, or it's Black History Month per se. So we have to break down the levels that we can obtain our dreams. So knowing you had to drop from, like you said, CEO to mother to wife to mother, is this a constant battle that you face in maneuvering through these levels in order to maintain this artificial work-life balance?
Oh my goodness. It used to be. It's not so much now because I have been able to separate the two, like having our own warehouse and a team of great people who know what we do and how we operate and having structure and systems in place, it has alleviated a lot of stress and a lot of need for me to kind of not and have blurred lines. So the lines aren't as blurred as they used to be. I'll say that. But it's always a constant battle. Balancing act. It's a constant balancing act of when do you cut it off completely? When do you, say, go downstairs, I need to record this real quick, I'm about to go live. Like I just told my son, don't be a T-Rex while I'm on this interview. Like, it's a lot. So you can never really fully step away from all of the roles, but you definitely can find a way to gracefully balance them all to where no one feels like, they're neglected, or even me for self-care, right? Because before I'm a CEO, a wife, or a mother, I'm still Christian with feelings and a vision and things that make me tick. And so I want that to be full. I want my tank to be full. And so I'm just always doing things and being in constant communication and transparent with my husband and myself about what that means and what that looks like for us as a unit.
Now, as you grow, now you say he comes from a background where it's biscuits and gravy. And then I seen that you have gluten-free and different variations of the pancake mix. Will you ever go into biscuits or any other form of pastries after this lane has been mastered?
Probably not.
Okay.
And I say that because our mixes can do so much, right? So we're really big, and this goes back to the core element and goal of the business. The mission is to replace Pearl Milling Co. And Pearl Milling Co. ain't had to make biscuits, right? Pearl Milling Co. ain't had to do none of that other stuff. And so when you know the goal and the focus, the intent is to become the #1 selling pancake mix in the market, dominate that, rework the representation aspect of what it is to actually have a Black business, a Black empire, and to really become the legs and the hands of the arms and the legs of the community, like outreach and changing all of that, like creating the table, bringing seats to the table, people to the table who have good biscuit companies or, bread companies, and networking and collaborating as our platform and our star continues to rise, to hold the door open for companies like that. But first, we have to make those connections, and we have to know, not really stay in our lane, but just educate the consumer on what our products can achieve, right? Which is baking, frying. We got people out here frying pork chops with our mix, chicken. We're all out here coating mushrooms, frying cauliflower. So it's like, hey, if y'all want to do all that, go right ahead. I'm not making no Zatarain's fish fry for y'all. Y'all gonna use this pancake mix.
You're gonna use what I gave you, and then you can post the recipes for everybody else to see. But that's all we gonna. That's all we do. Well, what advice would you give someone who is looking to start a company and, like you said, have those dreams of domination, but not sure where to start?
Oh my goodness. Present day where I am right now, I would definitely advise you to start with what you have, where you are. Hold on to the biggest part of your dream. Like, I know people say, like, that's way out there, like replacing Aunt Jemima is just so far removed. Well, is she on the box? Is the name there?
Right.
Gone, right? So by all intents and purposes, my belief actually leveled up with what I desired. And I actually have continued to push through to that. So whatever that wild dream may seem like to someone else, you hold on to that. You allow that to be your fuel, and show up authentically, show up organically, show up transparently, and do it different from anyone else that has ever even desired to do anything close to what you are doing right now. You can do it. We are waiting for you. The world needs what you have to offer. So don't let anything around you stop you from actually presenting that to the rest of us to enjoy and celebrate with you.
That is excellent advice. I hope they have written it down, taken notes, recorded everything possible. So knowing that you're staying in the pancake mix realm, where can someone pick up your mixes besides online? Are they in stores now, or what is the locations for these?
So you can go to our website, VickyCakesOnline.com, and look at our map, our store locator that's on our website, and it will show you the different locations we're in. We're in 156 Jewel Osco locations in the Illinois area. So if you are in Chicago, Indiana, some Ohio, and I think one or two Iowa locations, we are in Jewel Osco. We're in talks right now with a major retailer. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be launching in there by May. Okay. And so when we take them under our heads, y'all will be able to get us anywhere that you
great.
Shop, right? So that's where you can get us now. We're on Amazon.com and Walmart.com as well, in over 60 small format stores. So smaller, locally owned retailers have picked us up through wholesale sites, and they do carry us in their stores and on their shelves as well.
Okay. Well, that is so inspiring. I really appreciate you taking the time out to join me and just giving us that motivation, that insight on how to start your brand, and let alone balance your brand from going from your kitchen to warehouse in like this small amount of years, because people believe like it's overnight. Overnight can be 5 years, overnight can be 20 years, but the push is real. So we encourage you to continue, and we're here to support. And where else could they find you and follow you on social media?
Yeah, so follow us on Instagram at Vicky Cakes Pancake Mix, and we are also on Twitter at Vicky Cakes 007, and we are on Facebook at Vicky Cakes Pancake and Waffle Mix.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. And don't call her Vicky, because her name is Christian. but Mama Vicky, we appreciate you. And so we're going to say thanks to Mama Vicky and Miss Christian and your husband Courtney for pushing you guys to say, hey, everybody needs to eat these pancakes. Thanks again for joining me again. My name is Coffea Iman. Thanks, guys.